At a young age, cooking with kerosene, pan-fried apple green recipes in magazines. Top chef before home ec developed his own tech to keep the dough fresh and keep the flow wet and keep.
Did you know the Decepticons were slaves and Megatron led a slave uprising on Cybertron? And they labeled them Decepticons because Megatron kept saying you're being deceived? Did you guys know that?
That is indeed one particular piece of canon that exists in one Transformers story, yep.
I was watching the 1980s animated Transformers movie after going to see Cybertronic Spree to fully immerse myself after experiencing the music. And my friend told me that. I was like, oh, Megatron, no! I knew someone who transformed into also a T-Rex could not be evil.
I mean, look, in some bits of Transformers canon that is the case, and in some bits of Transformers canon he's just a fascist.
Oh.
Really depends which story you're reading.
If a media property goes on long enough, eventually there will be so many alternate versions. You can just come on and be like, do you know there's a universe where Batman kills the Joker and then a poisonous gas makes him like half Batman, half Joker?
I don't know. But what I do know is that I said this before, but I just would like to know, everyone agrees that Giselle is a witch and she's taking her power back from Tom Brady because they got divorced, right? Like, he said, my wife is a witch, and I'm like, yeah, she's like never aging and shit. She's drinking blood or something, right? That's what happened.
I definitely know anything about Tom Brady.
No, he's gonna come back begging for forgiveness because of her witch powers. Obviously, they're gonna get back together. But he has to play a shitty season first for her to prove, hey, don't fuck around. That's what TikTok says, and seems legit.
I mean, this is not my area of sports. I am now technically, I definitely am a sports knower now, but only about, like, British independent wrestling. I'm a wrestling commentator now. I did wrestling commentary. I know sports. I can do sport.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, you can go watch Spectrum Wrestling's Rejoice up on YouTube, and I do commentary through the whole thing, because I definitely understand sports.
That's extremly cool to me.
Yeah, I can explain to you why there's a clown who has a swirl on their nose that they use to do hypnosis, and how they're going to get around that.
Oh, the live commentary on lore? So in case, like, there's new... Oh, okay, so the nose does hypnosis.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm there to explain all the background, so you're like, okay, so this is how the murder clowns got their weird, like, hypnosis powers, and that's why that wrestler's, like, having trouble in the ring today.
Oh, because they're going woozy and stuff because of the hypnosis?
Exactly, right? You see, I'm there to... That's my contribution to sports, is telling you why clowns have psychic powers.
I just want the audience to know that transition from Transformers to Tom Brady to wrestling was organic. I didn't edit anything out, right? Like, that wasn't the case where you heard a really shortened version of like a 30-minute conversation. That's just what this is like, this experience of being in this call with us.
Quick insert, my computer just did a complete blorp. I don't know, but it's still recording and it seems fine. But I was just letting you know.
Okay,
I don't know what just happened.
Do you want to define a complete blorp?
Everything, I think my wallpaper engine crashed, maybe. I'm using a USB mic and then USB headphones separately, so I don't know. Like, the recording's still happening, it's fine.
Listen, I mean, like, if people could understand just the amount of, like, bizarre, esoteric DMing skills Austin's able to pull out this season, it's amazing, just.
Yeah, I don't want to toot my own horn, but it has been absolutely labyrinthine doing this season. It's been the hardest season by a long shot.
It has been a logistically complex one, for sure.
Everything from people switching characters to people dropping out to people dropping in to my cat dying to moving to it's just been I solved the lament configuration this season and it's just been chains all the way down.
That's that thing.
You made it through though, Austin, and we appreciate it, even though we weren't helpful at all. Sorry.
I love spite as a motivator because there's been some discourse in the listenership. And once again, we're recording far in the future, so we're not responding week by week. But a lot of people have been saying, like, is it okay that I want the Pants for Pets to lose the race? Or, like, should we be rooting for Pants for Pets to win? And that takes me back to, like, before we started the season when I said everyone should watch the Tarkovsky film Stalker, which is about people going into an uncharted land where there is something that will grant them a wish. Like, I'm not hiding that that's the inspiration.
Yeah.
But if you haven't seen this film, I'm about to spoil a 70-year-old film. So skip ahead 30 seconds, I guess, if you don't want that.
Oh, well, let me skip ahead here, Austin. Okay. All right. I'm in the future. Okay, ready.
When they get to the end, they find out that someone who got there before them used their wish and was so overcome with guilt that they, as the TikTok kids say, unalived themselves. And realizing that the human heart is selfishness, they simply turn around and go home. Like, after all that suffering and the whole journey, they're like, actually, fuck this, and they leave. So I think if Juniper could have definitely gotten to the Tarkovsky point.
Look, I'm just gonna put it this way. I, the player here, I attribute my entire career as a writer to entirely trying to spite one Zelda fan site that said I would never be good enough to do even unpaid writing, and I was like, fuck you, I'm gonna prove you wrong. Sometimes spite's a powerful motivator.
Yeah, and I like it both because it's emotionally honest and also tying into the theme of selfishness, which from Zana and Vimble as very obvious ones to maybe like Gladys as the counterpoint, an extremely selfless person in this season. I think that there's a lot of resonance here. I'm up my own butt at this point, but I like all this.
There is definitely some selfishness from Juniper in the sense that if Juniper had gotten here like minute one in this world and you'd said, Juniper, do you want to go through a harrowing, terrifying adventure where you will lose limbs and be constantly afraid of being murdered in order to protect the life of all plant life up here? There is a much better chance than right now that Juniper would have gone, that's a lot, and just bolted.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's skin in the game now. Gotta prove I can finish.
Yeah, I really liked Juniper's arc this season. I feel like now we're just talking about the process of writing, but she definitely has undergone a lot of change, and it's been very interesting. I think I said before, like now she's punished Juniper like fucking Middle Gear, but yeah, she's certifiably badass now.
I regret the evil I inflicted upon Wazana. Clearly it went all the wrong ways.
I mean, do we want to talk about this now? I feel like I'm in the mood to talk about the entire season at this point because we are gearing up towards the final arc. I think we're going to hit the big race, which is going to be like, I don't know, 2 or 3 episodes to like the final boss fight, and then we're done. So if we're going to get some stuff out here, I want to say that going into this season, I said, like, watch Stalker. Like, that's the main inspiration. And then we had some interesting player choices. One was you came to me with Zana, who is a cheerleader. And I said, that doesn't really jive with the thing we're doing. I said, do you want to do Shard Point, which is set in a school, with your cheerleader? And you said no. So then I retooled the entire season to be about a team of academics so that the cheerleader would make sense.
Oh, damn. Thank you for doing that. I didn't realize that at the time.
But then that had the knock-on effect of Juniper being an academic, committing very hard. And I really love Laura, your character creation process is very collaborative and you really committed to the bit. And then Sam came in and was like, my guy's called Dark Justice. He doesn't care about any of this academic shit. And like in episode 1, he just turned to the camera and goes, I don't care about your premise. And it's like, I even said to Sam, like, we just did an 80-hour season about criminal justice. I don't know that I want a character named Dark Justice who's talking about law. And he was like, this fucking guy is going to get obliterated 2 episodes in. And yeah, he died pretty quick, but his shadow, has hung around. He didn't actually die right away, right? He died recently, but he left the party somewhat early. But the knock-on effects of Vimble and Zana have like overshadowed everything. It made everyone hate you. It like really brought some stuff to this season that could have easily changed everything. And the fan reaction has been very interesting because there are people who are like, I love Zana's girl boss energy. I love Vimble being a smelly little bastard. But there are also a lot of people who are like, I want heroes who save the world. I don't want a meditation on selfishness where people backstab each other.
I genuinely love both of them as characters, and I think that they were perfectly executed in what they were doing. And also, I had committed to playing a character that was heavily leaning on I had been told was the season theme, and that creates clashes sometimes.
I was under the impression that there would be more. Well, first of all, I felt like I was pretending to be an asshole, but whenever we were in fights or like doing anything, I tried to play as much of a support role as I could. Mm-hmm. I was just doing it in a mean way. I didn't want to like kill anybody. I was just being real mean. And
you just wanted to gaslight gatekeep girl boss.
Yeah. But like whenever party members were in trouble, I always tried to like help them. But like, I don't know, I think I was trying to like actually play the supporting role while playing a dick, basically. I don't know. And I also expected for there to be more pushback, but like whenever I was like, and then I did this, and everyone was like, chaos, and I was like, oh no! Oh, it felt so bad. I don't know.
One thing I will just say is that it's always hard to try to design someone with the intention that they're going to fail. You can't do that, like that type of design approach. I'm not saying it backfires. It's just, it's not reliable.
I had a motivation that was like really dumb. I don't know, because I was like, okay, I need to make something really different from slime. And also, I just watched Jennifer's Body. So
great film though,
and I wanted to experiment with what it felt like to be an asshole.
And I think that is a perfectly valid thing to do with a character. Like D&D is a space for playing around with roleplay.
I guess the consequences are is now I've roleplayed and seen how being an asshole just really just destroys everything, and I thought it was going to be fun, and it wasn't. Like, I am extremely, extremely submissive in real life, and I was like, I need to do something to, like, not be that, so I thought making this character would be good, and I've like, alright, I've simulated it, it's bad.
Sometimes you gotta play a character that is the least you possible.
I was trying to make myself in real life be more, like, girl boss, because I thought that would make me more confident. It just made me feel like shit. Like, I don't like it.
I mean, I think there's an argument that the like season that deals with like colonialism should probably eventually have deeply compromised characters. I think if all of you were like paragons of goodness, that would be a little weird. I think that's an argument here. Mm-hmm. Also, Sophie, who isn't here, I would say, I don't know if she's going to be on the Q&A episode to talk about this, but she did say like, oh, you know, Dio is this blank slate in the same way that this part of the world is a blank slate, and like growing together is like, you know, the themes there line up pretty cleanly, but also like she was doing voice training and she wanted it to mirror Dio finding their voice, like literally, in addition to like, you know, narratively along the thing, but having a blank slate character and two evil characters, or like two like antagonistic characters, to be Juniper really the only one holding it down. I remember thinking like, if I was Laura, I would be pissed. Like I would be like Laura's a saint. I would be mad if I was in a D&D campaign and I followed directions and the premise and everyone around me did not.
I mean, my side on this is always very, I hope when I play a character like Juniper that other party members don't hold it against me or begrudge me or dislike me for doing that. In that I feel like there is a certain degree of commitment to, I've committed to playing a character and I have to kind of just play them out, and that might mean me being the character that's, you know, eventually hits breaking point and goes, no, fuck off, stop that. Mm-hmm. And that feels like a difficult thing to do as a player because I don't want to be stepping on anyone else's creative toes and basically being the one going, no, your character choices are not allowed and bad and must stop. Because, like, that just feels like, it feels like not, you know, the cliche rule of improv of yes and it feels like going very much against that to, in character, tell someone's character, no, this is unacceptable character being.
I mean, I've said before that the only time I ever really vetoed a character idea was when Conrad wanted to play a serial killer who preyed on children specifically, and I was
okay.
why don't you just be a serial killer and some of your victims can be children in season 6? But I think the second one, this is like a light veto, was after Vimble left the party. Sam was like, "Can I be a bunch of rats in a trench coat?" And I was
Wait, no, I would have loved that. What?
I mean, we just had the pizza rats last season, which is what I said. And also, it doesn't really feel like it jives with the themes that we're going here. I'm trying to do an exploration of like colonialism and like land use and stuff.
I'll say this. I've ended up quite enjoying Juniper as basically being the opposite way that Nifix in whichever previous season could have gone, which is the person at complete odds with everyone they're in the party with. Nifix snapped. Juniper is the attempting to not go, I'm gonna supervillain this.
I feel like Juniper's gonna turn into Darth Vader. It's gonna be great.
And of course, the fact that this entire season is literally a result of Nifix's choice. If you haven't listened to previous seasons, I asked the party essentially, like, what do you want to happen to the universe? And the thing they described is what we're playing through the consequences of. So it's 100, like this season would be 150% different if you had sided with different people in season 6.
Yeah. Also, I'm just gonna admit it now while we're on the air. Juniper entirely exists so I could get like Fursona fan art done. So thank you, community.
Scammed.
Played the long con.
My situation this season is very odd in the whole thing too, because Treyan was originally designed during the pre-planning process for this season, and we were even planning, Mari and I, of some specific Zana and Treyan interactions. And upon re-listening through this season and research joining back in, I'm like, how the hell would my poor little Dragonborn character survive in this original party configuration? I have no idea.
You would have to be too oblivious.
We'll talk more in the Q&A stuff. We're about to jump back into the narrative, but I will say that the Dragon Quest, where we introduced Treyan, has been a smash hit with fans. People absolutely love those characters, and it is partially because they're all on the same page. And I think Treyan, having been with Zana, while it would have been very funny, because like Mari and is very funny, Sam is very funny, I think that people would not like Treyan as much if he had started having to tolerate Zana in some way, because it makes you complicit in her stuff.
Yeah, either he'd have to be complicit or he'd have to be fighting back against it, and neither one would have been very compelling narratively. That's sort of where I mean by surviving in that respect, because the character would have had to been altered heavily to fit within that dynamic, or stick to the character and cause a lot of weird narrative friction that wouldn't even kind of make sense for the grander story being told. So I just kind of appreciate the opportunity to contribute in the ways that I have, as it kind of convoluted it's been, but I think I'm happy with where my character is for the relatively short screen time he's had.
Yep. I mean, at this point, the audience will have heard, I think 10 Dragon Quest episodes in addition to your Pants for Pets stuff. So they'll have gotten a lot of Treyan face time. But as we move into your level up, to finish that conversation, I will say there's going to be this final stretch, this boss fight. I expect to be kind of multiple episodes and really intricate. It's got my ideas for it to be the biggest fight in Dice Funk history, essentially. And I don't know who's going to win. Nothing is scripted. Everything this season has been organic. Who got the body parts? Who got the weapons? I don't know who's going to win, what's going to happen. I'm hoping to play a season in whatever area is created. But this is truly, truly improv, if the audience doesn't know. So who you want to win, that's between you and your heart. But I am not trying to make anything happen.
For anyone who has ever doubted that this show is completely improv and that Austin will just roll with shit, like, I think back on a long list of things. The first one that jumps to mind, rolling insight on the universe. Like, Austin is happy to go, okay, I guess that's where we're going.
My favorite moment was when we stole the wheels. We just put our wheels into our cart, which was right next to their cart. After writing, it was us. Like, what? This is stupid. Sorry.